In case you missed it, President Trump fired the head of the BLS after this report came out because we saw so many downward revisions in the numbers, and the numbers in July themselves just weren't good. So his claim is that the numbers are rigged and he's going to hire someone better to be put into this position. If someone wanted to sabotage the president, they could have done it months ago. In fact, when you look at previous reports released from the BLS, a lot of the jobs reports actually made the president look really good. The problem is not the person who's in charge, it's the way that the BLS collects the data in the first place, because it's proven to be very unreliable. If you're constantly having to revise your numbers downward, not by small amounts, but by huge drastic amounts, there's something wrong with the methodology. There's something wrong with the way that this data is being collected, and we need to do better. It's 2025. We need to find another way. Secondly, what I want to point out here as well is that firing the head of the BLS for delivering bad news about the jobs market sets this precedent for the next person coming in of only rewarding good news. If the penalty for delivering bad news is being fired, that means that the next appointee will have every incentive to deliver numbers that please the president rather than reflect reality. And this moves us further away from the goal of getting access to more accurate and transparent data. That's why I think data should be transparent, it should be decentralized, it needs to be competitive, not monopolized by a single government agency or a political party. We need to increase transparency here and not set up people in charge who are going to give us the numbers that we want.
The head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics has been fired by Donald Trump because he's pissed at the data numbers that came out and the fact that many were revisited, right? That the actual job market is way worse off than what we expected. This is a precedent that never happened in the past 240 years. Yes, it sucks. A president is butthurt about the data, the actual data that come out and is firing a person, thinking they're responsible. They're definitely responsible for the numbers that were wrong. Donald Trump is definitely butthurt about it. This is the real problem of everything. The real problem is that the most powerful country in the world, the United States right now, is still getting data in the same way it was getting data 50 years ago. Most of the Bureau of Labor Statistics data is taken by survey. I learned that the way they figure out the inflation for rentals, for renting a house, is by survey. I realized that as a real estate investor, most of the inflation data I see about when it comes to houses is fake, like it's not real. What pisses me off is that nowadays we have access to all these private companies such as Zillow. Zillow is so accurate that now they even give you a zestimate on the rental. How much can you rent your house for? And to be honest, whenever I compare what Zillow gives to me and what I do with comp analysis, they're pretty accurate. You have the United States that is using the same data system of 50 years ago, while at the same time the whole private company has so much better data. As much as I believe that the Bureau of Labor Statistics should be an independent entity and the government should not be able to appoint them that easily, especially the president, I definitely believe that until you don't have a representative of the Bureau of Labor Statistics that does something about how they collect data, no person should have that job. No person should have that job. Why do we use technology from the 1950s to gain data when you have so many private tools you can buy data from for peanuts, give you an accurate analysis of what's happening in America? So here's the thing, the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, I like the fact that interest rates are still high. I agree with Jerome Powell. Even if data will be better off or worse off, I still think we should keep interest rates high right now to protect poor Americans. Here's the thing, Jerome Powell is taking decisions based on the data he's getting from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. If that data is slow, if that data is inaccurate, the decisions you're taking are inaccurate. It's like when you go to the doctor, if the diagnosis is wrong, the solution will be even worse. So is Trump butthurt? Yes. Should he fire the person that is doing the data? Maybe not him. I don't think it's right that the president can fire or hire this person because data is connected to the Fed and the Fed should be an independent thing. Is the Bureau of Labor Statistics doing a very poor job? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, guys. Just analyze private data and compare it to the public data of the Bureau of Labor Statistics and you'll be surprised by how many times there's a huge discrepancy between the two. I use the discrepancy to make money by investing and seeing what is happening, what the government thinks is happening and what the private see. Given the importance of the decision of the Fed, hell yeah, we need to do something about it.
Guys, this is bad news. I own a recruiting firm and the jobs report came out today, August 1st, and only 73 1,000 jobs were added in July. That's the weakest report in over a decade, but that's not the worst part. The last 2 months were actually revised down by 258,000 jobs, and unemployment actually ticked up to 4.2%. This is not a slowdown, this is a stall. And at the same time, prices are going up due to the tariffs, and imports are getting more expensive, and food and tech, all of our things, all of our prices are going up. So inflation is going up. Consumers are spending less, wanting to save more, and confidence is dropping fast. So companies aren't hiring, but they're also not laying off. And that is a weird pressure cooker moment for our economy. And it's a bad recipe. Weak job growth, rising prices, cautious consumers, and no hiring. So pay attention. This isn't just a bad month. It might be a moment that the economy tips. So what do you think? Are we headed towards a recession?
Just because he put it on a big board with a chart that says the job data is going up doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean it's true. Because every state and every company submits their own data. So if we really wanted to dig into the data, you wouldn't just look at the federal data. You'd look at every single state's data. And that means whatever he puts up has to be backed by every state and every company's data, which means data will correlate. Absolutely. So let's dig into those new numbers and see how it all corresponds to each other. Or does it?
The U.S. job market, once hailed by Trump as the greatest in history, is now flashing warning signs, with July's hiring numbers collapsing to just 73,000 jobs added, far below expectations, and revisions from previous months erasing 250,000 jobs, while jobless claims have ticked upward and nearly 2 million Americans are now on continuing unemployment benefits, the highest level since late 2021. And in the midst of these troubling numbers, Trump, never one to quietly accept bad news, publicly accused Bureau of Labor Statistics Commissioner Erica McIntyre of rigging the data to damage Republicans, firing her abruptly on August 1st via Truth Social without offering any evidence, a move that sent shockwaves through the economic and political world, with former BLS officials stressing that the job is built on strict safeguards that make tampering virtually impossible. Economists warning that undermining the credibility of the agency could spook markets, distort policymaking, and invite comparisons to authoritarian regimes where official numbers serve political ends, and critics arguing that the timing of the firing, just after the disappointing jobs report, was no coincidence, but rather a calculated attempt to discredit inconvenient data, while Trump doubled down by nominating E.J. Antoni, a Heritage Foundation economist and outspoken critic of the BLS, to take over. A choice that has intensified fears the agency could be politicized at a moment when the U.S. economy needs clear-eyed, trusted statistics to guide decisions on interest rates, inflation, and federal spending, and as the Senate prepares to battle over Antoni's confirmation, the labor market continues to soften, survey participation in BLS reports is declining, and the nation's economic narrative hangs in the balance, torn between the reality of weakening job growth and the political theater of a president who sees bad numbers not as warning signs to address, but as enemies to be removed.
Trump's economy is cracking right now. The U.S. added just 73,000 jobs in July, and due to Trump's tariffs, the stock market is collapsing this morning. And it's not just July. The Bureau of Labor also slashed the number of jobs added in recent months as well. May's job figure was revised down by 125,000 from 144,000 to 19,000. And June was revised down by 133,000 from 147 to 14, a combined 258,000 fewer jobs than previously reported. And here's a look at the stock market this morning. As you can tell, it never responds well to Donald Trump's radical blanket tariffs. These tariffs are choking business activities, cutting federal jobs, and dragging down hiring across industries. And they're all begging for rate cuts to prevent a deeper downturn. But when Jerome Powell says we need to wait and see how Trump's tariffs impact prices, Trump threatens to fire him. What we're seeing is the result of putting a failed businessman with no political experience into office. He is absolutely destroying all of the progress that Joe Biden made. It's crazy how his whole campaign was making life easier for American workers, Yet we're the ones paying for his tariffs.
And as this drama unfolds, the headlines about job losses and stagnant hiring are now competing with headlines about the president's personal war on the very institution tasked with counting those jobs. A war that threatens not just the statistical integrity of the BLS, but also the broader faith Americans and global investors place in U.S. economic data. Because if inflation, unemployment, and wage growth numbers start being seen as partisan spin rather than neutral measurements, it's not just economists and journalists who will raise eyebrows. It's bond markets, the Federal Reserve, and anyone whose money is tied to U.S. stability, meaning Trump's decision to replace McIntyre with a loyalist like Antony, known for blasting the BLS in the past and for aligning with Trump's narrative that deep state bureaucrats are out to get him. Looks less like routine turnover and more like a test run for politicizing all federal data ahead of the election. And while Trump's base may cheer the move as a blow against fake numbers, the rest of the world is watching nervously, knowing that a White House willing to purge independent officials for publishing reality is a White House willing to rewrite reality altogether. And so the jobs crisis isn't just about slowing hiring anymore. It's about whether the numbers we see each month will reflect the economy as it is, or as one man wants us to believe it is, making the firing of the BLS chief not just a personnel decision, but a warning shot in a bigger battle over truth itself in America's economic story.
We just got the worst economic report since COVID, and economists believe Trump tariffs are starting to drag down the U.S. economy. There was a major revision in the jobs report's numbers, and 258,000 jobs just vanished from the reports with these revisions. Let's watch CNN explain.
That was weaker than expected. But the real news is there were all these massive downward revisions for both May and June. May, originally, the government said the economy added 144,000. Now, 19,000. That is a major revision. This is the biggest revisions we've seen since COVID. June was originally at 147. Now it's just at 14,000. You can see it on that bar chart there. June was the worst since December of 2020. I just talked to Joe Brusuelas, he's the chief economist over at RSM, and he said, this report that we just got, when you look at the July numbers and the revisions, he says this is the worst major economic report we've gotten since the end of the pandemic.
And in what sector are we losing jobs? It's manufacturing. In May and June, we lost 13,000 manufacturing jobs. The very sector MAGA and Trump are claiming they need tariffs to protect, but in reality, tariffs are going to hurt manufacturing because tariffs raise the price of inputs. Imported steel, imported copper, imported components. When you raise the price of inputs, it's going to hurt U.S. manufacturing businesses and slow the overall economy.
Shit, I don't know why Trump on their line talk about, what are you talking about? This is the best job markets we'd have had. For who, nigga? For who, nigga? The only people that's getting jobs is the niggas that's unqualified getting jobs by you, nigga. Ain't nobody getting no job. What jobs? Niggas gotta keep these two, the one or two shitty jobs that they gotta maintain just to live a basic ass lifestyle. A basic ass lifestyle. It's motherfuckers with college degrees working basic ass jobs. Walked across the stage right into the fucking Kroger deli, nigga, with a degree, slicing meat. This motherfucker waited 4 years, threw they tassel up and threw they hat up just to fucking slice this honey baked ham. Cause it's fucked up out here, bro. It's fucked up. Niggas is not getting jobs, callbacks from nothing.
Trump's new job reports show jobs are through the roof. New jobs. Well, we're going to see how that works when we all standing in the soup line.
America, I have the most amazing news. We are 10 times richer than we were last year. 10 times more money. Donald Trump and Stephen Moore present new economic data in the Oval Office. 10 times more income for the average. No, look at me. Don't open your bank statement. Look at me. Look at me. Look. There's a chart. Look at the chart. No. Don't open your bank statement. That has nothing to do with it. We're not talking about your bank statement. You are 10 times richer. If you're an average family, maybe you're not average, maybe you're exceptional, maybe you're like better by, that beyond human comprehension, you're better, or worse, maybe you're worse, maybe you're an immigrant. Oh my God, maybe you're the worst of the worst violent criminal. But anyways, every income group did better under Donald than Biden by a wide margin. So even if you are below average, you still did way better. You're welcome. Don't look at your bank
In the
statement,
end, what we're witnessing isn't just a slowdown in the job market. It's a dangerous moment where facts themselves are under fire, where a president faced with economic cracks has decided to shoot the messenger instead of fixing the foundation, and where the independence of America's data is being tested like never before. Whether you see this as political theater or an outright assault on truth, one thing is certain. If the numbers can't be trusted, then neither can the policies built on them, and the ripple effects will reach every worker, every business, and every household in the country, making it critical that we pay attention now before official statistics become just another campaign slogan. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Orbit Point for more deep dives into the stories shaping our world. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update, and let me know in the comments what you think. Is this a necessary shakeup or a dangerous slide into political control of our economy's truth?